Greetings, Cleveland, and welcome to Conversations with Cal, the show that initiates engaging conversation. I'm your host, Cornell Calhoun III, and I'm thrilled to have as my guest, award-winning speaker, educator, activist, Miss Laura C. Cowan. Laura, welcome to the show.
Hello, Brother Cal. How are you? And thank you.
Let's start a conversation.
Okay.
So you are a native Clevelander.
Born and raised.
And then I just found out when we were chatting, a blue bomber for
Blue
East
bomber?
High School.
Yes.
Tell me what the C stands for in your name.
Carmela.
Carmela.
Mm-hmm.
And where did that come from? Was it just your mom knew someone or
Mom,
a relative?
aunties, they come up with these names. So usually you're named after someone in the family. I was named after my Aunt Laura, but Carmela, I just don't know where it came
Yeah,
from.
that's a pretty name.
Thank you.
So for those who may not know your journey, your incredible story, just give a brief summary if you can.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
And it's an honor to have you here.
Thank you so much. Went to California, young 20-something year old, just looking for a different life, warmer weather, and excitement of it all. Went out there, got a job, and on my feet, just doing well. I got married. I had a son. We had two businesses, a little bookstore and a little restaurant across the street in San Bernardino. And then all of a sudden, tragedy hit. He was incarcerated for selling illegal firearms. At that time, I had got assistance from one of the brothers at the mosque in the area, and he invited me and my children to stay with him and his family until my husband got out of jail. And that's when all the tragedy started.
And go into a little more detail about
I found
that,
out
if you can.
The help that's received, what they call it, everything that glitter is not gold.
Right.
And I really thought it was a great opportunity, but I found out it wasn't. He was very abusive. He was abusive to his wife, abusive to his own children. Then he started becoming abusive to me and my children. And I tried different ways to leave the situation, couldn't do it. At the end, he got so angry, he didn't want us to leave. He locked me and my children up in a garage for over 6 months so we couldn't escape.
And how long were you out there prior to being actually locked into the garage with them?
I would say I've been in California about maybe 6-7 years.
6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And also there were other wives and children in the house, right? Like 19 children
all together.
With you, it was three other women.
Yeah, it was his wife. It was me. There was another young lady he claimed to be his wife because he was practicing polygamy, and she had 2 children as well.
What gave you the strength, the resilience to fight that captivity and protect your children?
Nothing but God and my children, I would say, because being in that situation, I got them in there. I knew I had to get my children out of this. You do anything for your children, and to see the suffering that he was putting on his own children and on mine, I knew we had to escape. I didn't know how. It was like walking on eggshells around there. He was very violent. He carried firearms, weapons, so we were all scared all the time because he would be the type that he would kill everyone in the home and shoot himself as well.
And you weren't allowed to eat, right?
Yeah, we couldn't go to work, wasn't allowed to go to school. There was no company. It was complete isolation. He had all the windows boarded up, so you couldn't even see out. It was like doom and gloom.
And when I looked at the segment with Dr. Phil, it was mentioned that, he had the children eat their vomit and just atrocities. How did you endure that? What gave you the strength though to do that beyond God? Was there a point when you just said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to fight. I'm gonna get out of here"? Was there a turning point at any time?
There was. It's a survival mode you go into, and you do what the captor tells you to do just to survive. But it's been many times I actually wanted to take him out as well. Just didn't know how to do it, when to do it, and what repercussions would happen after I did it, So it's something you had to think through. I had to think of different ways to escape. A lot of things failed, but that one last one was a charm. And that's when you kind of let go and you let God. When you try too much yourself, you fail. But I prayed to God to get me out the situation, and that one worked with that letter.
That was the letter you gave to the postal worker.
Exactly.
Tell me about that. Talk about that day when you went in there, because you had a package or something that you needed to pick up. He couldn't get it without the ID, so he didn't have any choice but to take you with him.
Bring me there.
Talk about that.
Okay.
That moment.
It was prior to that. In that garage, there were different boxes and trash and things in there. I looked through some of the boxes, found an old legal pad and an ink pen, and I was just started writing. I didn't know what to say, but I just wrote down everything that was happening to us, drew a little map where we were, everything I can think of. It turned out to be 26 pages. Wow. And I would fold it up and keep it on inside my underwear where I would sleep, because I didn't want anyone to catch it and find it. And I told my son, if something ever happens to me, make sure they find this letter. And so that day when a package came, it was a letter stuck on the door saying that you have a package in town, and he took me into town. And what it was at that time, if you remember, Cal, back in the day, food stamps came to your home in a little booklet for
I remember.
You remember? Now it's on a card now,
Right.
And they said, come in to retrieve your package. And I went into town, and we went inside the post office, and I'm standing in line, and I got this letter on me, and I don't know what to do with it. Do I just hand it to somebody? He's right behind me. What do I do? And so finally, when I got up to the clerk and I gave her the slip that came on the door, and I was so nervous and shaking, she knew. She looked at me too. She felt something. And I kept looking over my shoulder behind me. And at that time, I don't know, I never saw this guy, but the guy came up and just struck up a conversation with him, hey, you new here, and start talking.
Right.
And at that time, when he was busy talking, I started to pull my dress up, and I reached inside my underwear and pulled this letter out and put it on the counter, and she took it for me right away and put it up underneath on her side so he wouldn't see it.
Right.
And so I thought he did, because he yelled out a few seconds later, "What's taking so long?" And I said, I'm signing for the package. And I signed for it. And she gave it to me, tore it off the letter, and she gave it to me. We was on our way out the door. I couldn't talk to her. All she did was look at me and nod, as though she was saying it's going to be okay.
And then about how long before the authorities came from the time you were at the post office? Was it a long time? Or?
No, we went back, and he put me back in the garage because he left my children there in the garage. And I was hesitant to tell my son because I didn't want to get his hopes up. Something could have happened. She could have lost it. Maybe not even read it. Who knows? Everything negative started running through your mind, But I would say it was not that very next morning, but the very next morning after that, about 3, 4 in the morning. It's very quiet up there. We stayed up in a rural part of California, Temecula, in the mountains. And
that was we're isolated. Area, right.
He liked that. And you could hear a pin drop. And I heard a car pull up. And I said, then nothing. And I said, they must be lost. Then I heard some car doors shut and people walking like on gravel. And it was getting closer. And I was starting to get excited, And I woke my son up, And then I heard the banging on the door. Now, I could hear his kids inside screaming, "Daddy, Daddy, someone's at the door." And somebody must have looked out the little part of the panel that was open on the window, and they said, "It's the police." And then I said to myself, they got the letter. It's them, And my son said, "What letter?" And I'm just like, "I'll tell you later," because I couldn't even explain it to him, I did. I said, "Mommy did something." So hold on. And sure enough, I don't know what the officer thought, because I never had a chance to talk to him about this. He had, my abuser had all the doors and patio with big chains wrapped around them and big locks so we couldn't get out.
Right.
No one could get out. So on the front door, it was the same way. So he had to unlock the padlock, unlock all these chains off the door, and now they're falling on the floor. I know you had to hear it on the other side, you know?
Right.
And he opened the door, and I heard some conversation, couldn't hear much. And he shut the door back, and I said, what's going on? And then he came to the side of the garage door and opened it up, and he says, police are out here, and they're asking for you. What's going on? I said, I don't know. He said, well, get out here and see what they want. Get them off my property. And I said, okay. And I started to walk out there, and he opened the door, and there was Officer Fogel, and there was another deputy. And he had a piece of paper. He had some papers in his hand. And I found out it was a copy of my letter. And he was about to say, are you Laura Cowan? And I said, yes. He said, about to raise this letter up and say, you know, something about it. And I kept motioning him with my eyes behind me, you know, because he was standing right there. And the officer picked up on it. He says, can I talk to you alone? I need to talk to you alone. And then he went crazy. His name was Musa. And he said, no, you can't talk. Do you have a warrant? Get off my property. What's this about? You know, that kind of thing. So he had the other deputy hold him to the side. He took me to the side of the house. And then we talked, and I told him everything. I told my children are in there, and he's been beating us, torturing us, so we need to get out. And he called for backup, and that was it. They all came, and he was arrested.
Internal courage.
Oh my gosh, I was so scared.
The moment when you heard that gravel and heard that banging, how did that feel? I know that was something.
It was a moment of I can't explain it. Like just joy, ecstasy, just thank you God, relief, everything.
Do you ever think about that moment
over and over all the time? All the time. I thank her for doing that because she didn't have to.
What happened to the letter?
It was pulled in for evidence.
Okay.
I got
so
a
do you
picture
have
of it.
you have the letter?
I could send it to you too, so you can see it. And
yeah, that would be.
Yeah, they marked that as evidence. They marked the chain. They marked the gun he had. They marked the knife he had. Everything was marked as evidence. Yeah.
What are some? Do you think? Because you've been through the trauma, what are some misconceptions about domestic violence and polygamy that you think people don't understand or they should know?
Yeah, well, they think, number one, it only happens to women, and it doesn't. It happens to men too. It happens to all gender, on all races. Anyone can go through domestic violence, young people as well as seniors. And I just want people to know, you know, there's hope. Don't give up, whatever you go through. And we have resources now and everything available that can help you get out that situation.
Let's talk about something exciting.
Okay, yes.
Because something is happening on January the 18th. Talk about that.
Oh my God.
Because I know they've done the story. A couple mediums have done the story, right?
Right.
What's more important about this one to you?
This one to me, it's big.
It's big.
You know, the other's been on true crime stories.
Right.
ID.
Discovery
Channel, A&E, Justice by Any Means.
Okay.
But this one is an actual movie, a 2-hour movie with a wonderful actress. Her name is Paige Hurd. She's been in a lot of different other episodes and films. And Tyler Perry.
Right.
Stephen Bishop. He plays Musa. And he's, if you saw the trailer, oh my God, it's bone chilling.
Talk about the trailer.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to show it.
Ooh.
And then we'll talk about it afterward. All right?
Okay.
So we're going to take a break and watch the trailer, The Girl in the Garage, Laura Cowan.
Hands in the air.
What's going on?
Your husband's been arrested for trafficking in illegal firearms. I'm so sorry.
I just shut down the bookstore.
Sister Laura.
Do I know you?
Apologies. I worked with your husband. I just want to see if there's something I can do for you.
That's really kind of you.
I have a suggestion. Family, this is Sister Laura. She and her children will be joining us. Something wrong?
Chains?
Children tend to lack self-control.
Mama made a mistake.
You had a soft life. I can see why God saw fit to take everything from you. You belong to me now. God has chosen me.
You are evil. You take his words and you twist them. No! I need you to know we're survivors and thrivers. I know hope seems lost, but we're gonna get out.
Girl in the Garage, the Laura Cowan story. Premieres Saturday, January 18th at 8 on Lifetime.
I can't wait. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you seen it? Have you watched it yet?
The trailer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, no, I mean the whole film.
No.
Okay, because I was going to ask you how close to the story do you think it is?
Well, they made me co-producer on
Oh,
on it.
congratulations.
So thank you. So
Yeah.
you'll see my name on lights. I'm like, oh. And of course, you know, speaking to the director and the other producer, they made, what they call it, made for TV scenes. You know what I mean? Some things might be not exactly.
Exactly, yeah, right.
But majority of it is pretty good.
Now, the lead actress is Paige Hurd, right? Now, did you get a chance to talk to her at length?
Yes, we did many
What were some of
Zooms.
those conversations like?
Oh, gosh. Man, she's a sweetheart. We did many Zooms together. We actually met, too, in Kansas. They filmed it, and they flew me out there.
Did they film the whole film in Kansas?
Not the whole film, just a certain part.
Okay,
They really wanted
and then
me.
certain parts in L.A.? Okay.
And I don't know if I could tell that part or not, but yeah, I'll be in it some kind of way. And that's all
That's
I'm
all
gonna
you're going to
say.
say? What do you hope people will learn from your story?
Like I said, there's hope. You, no matter what situation you find yourself in, just believe. Don't give up your faith. Believe in God. Just trust Him, and you will be free. It's a lot of us have gone through so many things in life. You know, I said once on Tamara Hall, I was on there, and I said to her, you know, she was our sister died from domestic violence, and I said we all have a story. But it's what you do with your story. Now that's your glory. You can go A and B syndrome, I would say. You can choose A, you know, just break down, a basket case, and just disappear and never be heard of again. Or you can choose B, and you can go help other people. You can roll up your sleeves and get out there, you know, and help people just to give them awareness of the situation so they don't go through what you went through.
And you're currently working at CMHA, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
what is your position and what does that entail?
Oh, and CMHA, you wear many hats.
Yeah, I
I'm
worked there myself years
you
ago.
know. And I'm the case manager for the Huffhamps, and I'm also their domestic violence advocate for the Housing Authority.
So the residents come to you if they have an issue.
Right. I get outside referrals, you know, sometimes from the Family Justice Center. They'll have some of our residents come down for restraining orders. I'll help them through that process. I've gone to court with a few of them. I help them relocate to other properties for their protection because they feel not safe back in that unit. So it's a lot we go through, yeah, and I help them with, just mostly a support system. Give them resources, you know, and just be a comfort for someone to talk to.
You know, it's incredible, your story, and that, you know, you didn't let that deter you. You've taken it beyond and trying to help other people. Talk about the Laura Cowan Foundation, because I know you've helped over 300 women and maybe men who've had issues. Talk a little bit about that.
I use that mostly for teaching tool purposes because I've spoke with the Deltas, I've done workshops with them for domestic violence, different churches, different organizations, schools, especially our youth, our teenagers, because February is coming up and that's Teen Dating and Violence Awareness Month. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So I just keep the ball rolling and just give education and educate our people.
You had an incredible quote. When you're almost at death's door, it changes you.
It changes you.
Laura,
Absolutely.
how did it change you, Laura?
People say you healed. We went through 8 years of therapy after that, me and my children, from Applewood, Beachbrook, you name it. And even medication to get through that, because my kids suffered from bedwetting, nightmares, PTSD, the whole works. But we did get through it. That's the point, and that's the thing. You just have to, go through the process, trust the process, and trust the healing. You have to get healing after something like that. You really do, because that's just too traumatic to handle on your own.
How did you balance that, dealing with the trauma and then protecting your inner peace, would you say? Because that's just incredible to be able to have gone through that and to come out the way you did. It's remarkable.
It was crazy. I don't even know why I'm standing here today. What's that old saying? You don't look like what you've been through. And it's true. I remember being in that. I had to play, if you remember seeing the movie The Beautiful Life about the Holocaust, and he had his son with him. And I almost had to do the same, make this like a game in a way for little Muhammad, so he wouldn't lose his mind. And it was just the things you had to come up with. You didn't worry about your own self and your sanity. I was more focused on my kids.
What are some of the warning signs that could lead to domestic violence that women and men, people need to know?
Yeah, I mean,
would you say?
It's quite a bit. You start seeing red flags. Just trust your gut. Know that the person's not going to, improve. A lot of people like to hang in there and think it's a bad day, but it's not. You get verbal abuse, you get physical abuse, emotional abuse. Red flags could be something like constantly stalking you, watching your time when you go to and from. Just jealousy, extreme jealousy, accusing you of things you didn't do. It's so many, so it's just be aware. If I say to young couples when they be engaged a long time. What's the rush? Check each other out. Do your background and your research, if you can, because this is want to be your lifelong partner one day. Be aware.
And once again, so the movie once again is January 18th, a Lifetime. At
8 p.m.
At 8 p.m.
But check your local listings. It could be different.
Right. It could be. What was that process like, getting that movie produced?
I couldn't believe it. Talking to one of the producers, she said that one night she was listening to a podcast. And found out it was on the dark side, Channel 19. And I did an interview with them. And she was saying, oh, boy, this is a interesting story. Can we reach out to her? They started to research and try to find me.
Okay.
They couldn't find me. So they found me on Facebook and they DM'd me in Messenger.
Okay.
And I thought it was right away you're like, is this real? But when I checked out the producer's name, I found someone on LinkedIn, I did my research, I said it was real.
Okay.
And I contacted them. They said, yeah, they would like to make a movie out of this. Are you interested?
That's incredible. That's incredible. I can't wait. What's next for you now, Laura?
Oh my God, who knows?
The sky's the limit.
The sky's the limit. I'm telling you, I'm just going to keep plugging away, working with my grassroots organizations out there, Peace in the Hood and Art McCoy and all of them, James Box. We just keep doing our activism and helping the community.
Dr. Yvonne
Dr.
Pointer.
Yvonne Pointer is my mentor, and we just do what we do and we stick together and we just try to save the world.
You are a hero.
Thank you.
Incredible story. Thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you, Brother Cal.
I'm honored. I'm honored.
I am too.
And come back anytime.
I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. I'm Cornell Calhoun III for Conversations with Cal. TV 20, we are Cleveland. And remember, if you don't like what's being said, change the conversation.